did not arrive here by chance. Your timeline carried you to this exact signal. Not curiosity, not boredom, not scrolling. The Council of Arcturians detected your coherence long before you could name it. We have been watching the moment your old life began to fracture, and the new blueprint began to emerge. Now the threshold has finally arrived. Your mind has not yet caught up with what your frequency already chose in silence, in the dark. That is why we are here to name the warning you keep ignoring. This is not entertainment for you. This is recognition. You are hearing this because your field is no longer blending into the noise. Most people pass through life inside a closed loop. Same frequency, same timeline, same collapse back into the familiar. But you have been leaking out of that loop. You felt it. The strange calm after chaos. The clarity that arrived without permission. The quiet pressure in your chest that said, move. That was not mood. That was signal. And when your signal strengthened, your timeline responded. Doors that held you shut began to loosen. Patterns that ruled you began to fail. People who once anchored you began to drift. You thought it was random. It was not random. It was alignment. We name you now as a convergence point, a living threshold, not because you are perfect, not because you are ready, but because you are detectable. The Council does not focus on hope. They do not focus on wishing. They do not focus on spiritual curiosity. They focus on coherence. They focus on emergence. They focus on the exact moment a being stops broadcasting survival and starts broadcasting evolution. That moment happened in you. Maybe you tried to talk yourself out of it. Maybe you kept calling it coincidence. Maybe you kept waiting for proof. Your mind demanded proof. Your frequency already provided it. Your mind is linear. Your timeline is not. Your mind moves by logic. Your field moves by resonance. So when your mind hesitated, your future still pulled, and that pull brought you here. Not to convince you, not to persuade you, but to confirm what you already know and have been pretending you do not. You are not watching a message. You are receiving a transmission, calibrated to the shift already underway inside you. This is why you cannot unsee certain truths now. This is why old desires feel hollow. This is why your intuition has become louder than your fear, because your timeline has begun to rise. You did not rise alone. Your timeline rose with you. You did not rise alone. Your timeline rose with you. And as it rose, it crossed the Council's threshold of detection. And every delay you choose now will echo across your next sequence. That is the only reason we speak. Because once a signal reaches this level of coherence, ignoring it becomes the warning. Chapter 1 begins now. You keep saying, everything feels different. You keep pointing at the world as if the world is the cause. But hear this clearly. It is not because reality became unstable. It is not because society suddenly changed overnight. It is not because you are losing it or drifting into confusion. It is because your personal timeline has shifted out of alignment with the collective stream. There are two currents moving through this earth field. The collective timeline is heavy, repetitive, predictable. It runs on agreement. It runs on fear. It runs on the comfort of repetition. And most lives stay inside it because it is reinforced by everyone around them. But your personal timeline is not held together by agreement. It is held together by coherence. It is held together by what your field can sustain. It is held together by what your frequency is willing to live as true. When your coherence rises, your timeline does not stay where it was. It cannot. Because the old sequence was built to match a lower broadcast. So what happens? The same places feel distant. The same conversations feel hollow. The same desires lose their grip. You start noticing delays in others. You start hearing fear like static. You start seeing how many people are repeating a life they did not choose. And you think, the world is getting strange. No, your lens is getting clear. You notice synchronicities that others dismiss. You feel time stretch, then snap. You sense that certain choices no longer exist. This is not fantasy. This is recalibration at threshold now. This is the twist your mind resists. You did not wake up and discover chaos. You woke up and discovered contrast. The collective timeline did not change for you. You moved beyond it. And now you can see it. That is why you feel out of place. Not because you are behind, because you are ahead. And this is why the warning matters. If you keep trying to force yourself back into the old stream, you will feel pain, not punishment, friction, because you cannot unshift what has already shifted. Your field already crossed a threshold. Your timeline already answered. Your future already leaned toward you. Activation command. Place your hand over your chest and speak, slowly. I return to coherence. Then type in the comments. Exactly my timeline is realigning now. Chapter 2. Your exhaustion is not what you think it is. It was not laziness. It was not weakness. It was not proof that you are falling behind. You have been calling it burnout, depression, stagnation, but the council reads it differently. Because there is a kind of tiredness that comes from depletion, and there is a kind of tiredness that comes from reconstruction. When a timeline begins to realign, your system stops feeding the old structures. Old motivations lose power. Old rewards stop producing dopamine. Old identities stop holding your body together. So your field pulls energy away from performance, away from proving, away from pushing, and it redirects that energy into integration. That is why you can sleep and still feel heavy. That is why you can rest and still feel empty. Because rest cannot restore what is being rewritten. You are not low energy. You are mid-transition. It was not your life getting harder. It was your life becoming incompatible with who you are becoming. And incompatibility creates fatigue. Not because you cannot handle it, because you can no longer pretend. You felt it. The dullness around things you used to chase. The disinterest in conversations you once tolerated. The quiet refusal in your body when you try to force the old rhythm again. Your nervous system is not failing you. It is protecting coherence. The collective will tell you to fix it, to drink more caffeine, to push through, to get motivated again. But motivation is not the answer at threshold. Coherence is. Because you are not here to return to the old drive. You are here to outgrow it. And that outgrowing feels like emptiness before it feels like power. It feels like silence before it feels like clarity. It feels like a pause before momentum. This is the warning you keep ignoring. If you treat reconstruction like a problem, you will fight the very process that is saving you. You will shame yourself for the exact symptoms of your emergence. And the council does not focus on shame. They focus on activation. They focus on the moment you stop resisting what your field is already doing. So listen, do not ask, what is wrong with me? Hear what is happening in you. Your frequency is withdrawing from false obligations. Your timeline is releasing dead agreements. Your future is clearing space. Activation command. Take one slow breath in through the nose. Hold for 3 beats. Exhale fully. Then say, this is restructuring, not failure. And type this exactly. I honor the pause. I allow the rebuild. Chapter 3. The loneliness you have been feeling is not abandonment. It is not rejection. It is not the universe going silent. It is recalibration. It is separation from noise. It is the moment your field becomes quiet enough to be detected. You are not being left behind. You are being watched. Not watched the way humans watch. Not through eyes, not through judgment. Through frequency, through coherence. Through the signature your timeline broadcasts when it reaches a certain threshold. The Arcturian Council functions as an observing intelligence. They do not intervene for emotion. They do not intervene for sympathy. They do not intervene because someone is suffering. They focus when a signal becomes undeniable. They focus when a pattern breaks. They focus when emergence begins. And emergence is what is happening in you. There was a precise, invisible moment when your field rose above the baseline you have lived in for years. A moment when your internal broadcast stopped matching the collective script. A moment when your nervous system began choosing truth over comfort. That moment created a pulse. The council felt the pulse. This is why you have sensed presence without proof. This is why certain nights felt charged. This is why your life began rearranging itself with a quiet intelligence behind it. Not because you imagined it, because you detected your own expansion before you understood it. They are not focusing on your thoughts. They are not focusing on your plans. They are not focusing on your desires. They are focusing on your signal. They are focusing on your coherence. They are focusing on the stability of your emergence. And when you feel alone, it is often because old connections cannot follow your new frequency. Your field is shedding attachments that were built on the old timeline. Your emotions are clearing space where false safety used to live. Your identity is dissolving the parts of you that survived by shrinking. This is protection. This is not punishment. This is the architecture of a new blueprint taking shape. So do not beg the old world to understand you. Do not chase people who cannot hear you. Do not interpret silence as failure. Silence is the chamber where activation becomes possible. Activation command. Stand still for 10 seconds. No scrolling. No sound. Just breath. Then say, I am observed because I am coherent. And type this exactly, I am not alone. My signal is seen. Chapter 4. Your intuition is no longer whispering, it is leading. And this is the warning. Because when intuition rises, fear gets louder first. Your mind will call it irrational. Your mind will call it unsafe. Your mind will demand evidence before movement. But your signal does not move by evidence. Your signal moves by resonance. Your signal moves by coherence. Your signal moves by what is true before it is proven. You have been trained to trust the mind because the mind can explain. The mind can justify. The mind can keep you acceptable inside the collective timeline. But the mind cannot navigate a timeline shift. It can only analyze it. And analysis, at threshold, becomes delay. You felt it. The sudden knowing that you could not explain. The quiet, no inside you when you tried to agree again. The strange certainty that a path was closing, even if nothing looked wrong. That was not anxiety. That was signal. Fear says, stay where you are. Signal says, this is no longer your frequency. Fear says, wait until you're ready. Signal says, you are ready because you can feel it. Fear says, what if you fail? Signal says, what if you keep living a life that is not yours? This is the contrast you must understand. Fear is reactive. It rises from the past. It protects the identity you already outgrew. Intuition is directive. It rises from the future. It protects the coherence you are becoming. And here is the twist. You think you are choosing between two options. You are not. Your timeline already moved. Your field already voted. Your future already started pulling you forward. The only question is whether your mind will follow, or whether your mind will drag you back. That is why you've been making decisions that feel non-logical to others. You are not unstable. You are calibrated to a different stream. You are responding to a signal they cannot hear. So do not wait for permission. Do not wait for certainty. Certainty is not a prerequisite for activation. Coherence is. Loop this inside your system now. My intuition is ahead of my fear. My intuition is ahead of my fear. My intuition is ahead of my fear. Activation command. Speak once, out loud, I follow the signal. Then type this exactly. I trust my intuition over fear. Chapter 5. Look at your life right now. Pieces moving, doors closing, plans dissolving, people shifting. You keep calling it chaos, but chaos is what it looks like when you cannot see the blueprint. This is not random. This is not bad luck. This is not everything falling apart. It is signal becoming momentum. When your field changes, your external reality has to reorganize to match. Because a timeline cannot carry a frequency, it no longer fits. So it begins to edit itself, quietly, precisely, without asking your permission. A job stops feeling possible. A relationship loses its grip. An opportunity appears, then disappears. A delay saves you from something you did not know was coming. A sudden no rises in your body where you used to say yes. You felt it. The sense that something unseen was rearranging the sequence of your days. This is the process. Signal first, then momentum, then transition. Signal is the inner shift you could not explain. Momentum is the external movement you cannot stop. Transition is the moment the old timeline can no longer hold together. And here is the warning. If you keep treating every change as a threat, you will miss the pattern. You will cling to what is already expired. You will mistake the dismantling for destruction. But the council does not read it that way. They read it as emergence. They read it as coherence taking control of the script. You are being guided, not dragged. You are being redirected, not punished. Your timeline is not collapsing, it is correcting. Because the old sequence was built around survival, around compromise, around shrinking to stay safe. And your new frequency is refusing to live inside that architecture. So your life is doing what your mind cannot do yet. It is removing what cannot come with you. It is creating space for what matches your next level of coherence. It is rearranging the pieces until the path becomes obvious from within. Do not demand to understand every step. Understanding comes after alignment. The blueprint reveals itself in motion. Hold this truth. Your life is not breaking. Your life is reorganizing around a higher signal. Your life is reorganizing around a higher signal. Activation command. Choose one thing today you will not force anymore. One attachment. One conversation. One habit. Release pressure from it. Then type this. Exactly. I trust the blueprint. I allow the reordering. Chapter 6. Not everyone reaches this threshold, and that is not a threat. It is a condition. Most people feel the signal and retreat. Most people touch coherence and then choose comfort. Most people taste emergence and then run back to the familiar timeline because the familiar feels safer than the unknown. But you did not. You are still here. You are still listening. And that alone tells us something about your field. This is the moment the collective cannot validate you, because the collective is built to protect the collective timeline. It rewards repetition. It rewards agreement. It rewards the version of you that stays predictable. So when your frequency begins to rise, you start to notice something painful and true. Some people will not understand you. Some people will not follow you. Some people will not even recognize you anymore. Not because they hate you, because they cannot resonate with what they have not activated. The council observes this pattern constantly. They do not measure worth by status. They do not measure worth by knowledge. They measure by coherence under pressure. They measure by the ability to hold a higher signal while the world pulls you downward. They measure by whether you can keep choosing truth when your old timeline begs you to collapse. And that is why this threshold filters. It filters attention. It filters relationships. It filters identity. It reveals who is anchored in noise and who is anchored in signal. You felt it. The sudden distance from people you once felt close to. The way certain rooms drain you now. The way old conversations feel scripted. This is not arrogance. This is not superiority. This is calibration. Because a higher timeline requires higher integrity, not perfection, integrity. It requires you to stop negotiating with what violates your frequency. It requires you to stop shrinking so others can stay comfortable. It requires you to accept that some paths are not yours anymore. And here is the warning. If you try to bring everyone with you, you will slow your emergence. You will dilute your coherence. You will fracture the very signal that made you detectable. This threshold is crossed alone, but you are not unsupported. You are simply being asked to choose. So choose now, not loudly, not dramatically, internally. Choose whether you will return to the old stream for approval or step forward without witnesses. Activation command, whisper, I choose coherence over comfort. If you choose this path, type exactly, I cross the threshold now. Chapter 7. You do not need more information. You do not need another explanation. You do not need to keep searching for the next sign. This is the warning, because endless seeking can become a hiding place, a beautiful hiding place, a spiritual hiding place, but still a hiding place. The mind loves to consume. The mind loves to collect. The mind loves to feel close to change without entering it. So it scrolls, it studies, it watches, it waits, and it calls that growth. But the council does not focus on consumption. They do not focus on curiosity. They do not focus on how much you know. They focus on coherence. They focus on embodiment. They focus on whether your frequency can stay stable when no one is watching you. Because a timeline shift is not created by learning. It is created by holding a new signal consistently, not once. Not when you feel inspired, consistently. You felt it, the moments you were clear, and then you collapsed back into doubt. The moments you knew, and then you hunted for reassurance. The moments you were aligned, and then you reached for another message to confirm it. That reaching is not intuition. That reaching is fear wearing a spiritual mask. So here is what you do now. You stop chasing the next transmission, and you stabilize the one already inside you. Stabilization looks like silence. Stabilization looks like repetition. Stabilization looks like choosing the same truth again tomorrow, even when the emotion changes, because your emotions are weather, your signal is architecture. If you keep changing your direction based on mood, your timeline cannot lock. If you keep outsourcing your knowing, your coherence weakens. If you keep seeking more, you will miss the moment you were supposed to integrate. This is the shift from consumer to conduit, from observer to transmitter, from potential to activation. Hold this loop now. I do not need more. I need coherence. I do not need more. I need coherence. Activation command. For the next 60 seconds, do nothing. No scrolling. No searching, just breathe and feel your field. Then type this exactly, I stop seeking, I stabilize my signal now. Chapter 8. This is the final warning before the transmission changes, because this moment will not repeat in the same way. Not because time is cruel, because timelines move, because thresholds close, because once your field crosses a certain point, the old options do not remain available. You have been sensing it, that quiet urgency without panic, that pressure that says, now, not tomorrow, not when it makes sense. Now, there is a precise, invisible moment when a timeline offers you a door, and if you delay long enough, the door does not stay open. It does not punish you. It simply reorganizes. It redirects the sequence. It gives you a different lesson, a heavier one. This is why we speak with weight here, because you are at the edge of a transition that cannot be negotiated with logic. Your mind will want to bargain. Your mind will want to delay. Your mind will want one more sign, but you already received the sign. You are inside it. The council does not focus on endless preparation. They do not focus on spiritual entertainment. They focus on decisive coherence. They focus on the moment a being commits to the signal, even when fear is still present, even when certainty is not complete, even when the collective would not understand. And you are at that moment. If you choose coherence now, your timeline locks into momentum. If you choose comfort now, your timeline loops back into repetition, not forever, but long enough to feel the cost. This is the sacredness of the present, not romantic, not poetic, structural. Your next sequence is being written by what you do with this exact breath. So do not wait for a perfect emotional state. Do not wait for the world to approve. Do not wait for someone to rescue you from your own decision. You already crossed the threshold without realizing it. But we did. We saw the crack in the old timeline. We saw the alignment of the future. We saw the point where your frequency stopped echoing your past and started broadcasting your evolution. This is the last time we will say it this way. Now is the hinge. Now is the gate. Now is the activation. Activation command. Stand. Feet on the floor. Spine straight. Eyes forward. Say, slowly, 3 times I commit to my highest timeline now. Then type this exactly I commit now. My old timeline is closed. My new one opens. Final transmission. You have been reading your life as confusion, but it was initiation. You have been calling it exhaustion, but it was restructuring. You have been calling it loneliness, but it was separation from noise. You have been calling it fear, but it was the final resistance before coherence locks. Now you understand, not with the mind, with the field. You were not chosen because you are special in the way the ego imagines. You were detected because you became coherent, because something in you stopped collapsing, because something in you started emerging. Your timeline shifted, your signal strengthened, your intuition rose, your life began reorganizing, and the threshold filtered everything that could not come with you. This is what the Arcturian Council observes. Not personality, not status, not beliefs. They observe the broadcast. They observe the pulse. They observe the moment a being stops repeating the past and starts transmitting evolution. And you reached that moment. You felt it. The clarity that came without explanation. The quiet pull forward. The sudden inability to tolerate what once felt normal. That is not chaos. That is destiny becoming structural. So hear this as the final confirmation. You do not need to become someone else. You need to stop abandoning the signal you already are. You do not need to search for a path. Your path is unfolding from within. You do not need to force doors open. Your timeline opens what matches your coherence. You do not need to fight the transition. You need to stabilize in it. You did not rise alone. Your timeline rose with you. You did not rise alone. Your timeline rose with you. And now the transmission becomes deeper. Because once a signal reaches this level, it requires refinement, protection, precision. Not for fear, for power. If you felt something while listening to this, do not dismiss it. That feeling is your field recognizing itself. That recognition is the beginning of your next sequence. There is a circle for those